Hey y'all, it's Betsy, and today we're going to be playing with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina Collection Volume 3 Pressed Pigment Palette. And she looks something like this. And I figured we would do something a little bit different, because I hear people say all the time that, oh, I'm not brave enough to wear colored eyeshadows, that type of thing. So I figured we might start a series and we'll go over like each of the basic colors in the rainbow and show you basic ways to incorporate color into your eyeshadow without looking crazy. Because some of the easiest ways to begin are to add it to your eyelid, that type of thing. I'm using the Milani eyeshadow primer. But there are other ways to incorporate it without looking crazy. Since it's Halloween time, I figured we'd start off with orange, especially because this palette has so many beautiful oranges and browns. I figured that would be where we started. Now, for an eye look like this, whenever we are wanting to keep it wearable, I guess is the best way to put it. And wearable is all in the sense of the word, but something that's not too crazy but still has some fun in it. We're gonna start off with a basic transition shade, and we're gonna use this shade B5, which is a really warm neutral, which will work beautiful for crease color. So we're just gonna take windshield wiper motions and a crease brush, which is a brush that typically is something like this, sort of fluffy, to give you those nice blurred edges, and just apply that all over, pretty much right above where our crease is. And that's what I like to consider my transition area. Okay, so as you can see, we've got that base color laid down. Now, I'm gonna take my Morphe M506, which is pretty much the same kind of brush. It's just, is a little bit smaller in diameter and a little bit shorter. I love this brush for adding a little bit more color. So we're gonna go into this shade right here, which is the shade A5, which is a good true pumpkin orange. And we're going to apply that in our outer crease just a little bit and bring it in about halfway. And for some people, this might still be a little bit too much color, but orange is actually a very wearable eye shade, especially if you've got blue in your eyes or your eyes are blue. It really helps make those blue eyes pop. So as you can see, I'm just lightly putting on pigment. I'm not going full ham to get a super bright orange, which is part of the reason why I also use the Milani eyeshadow primer versus like the ABH one, because I didn't want it to be drastic and bright. So we're just slowly building that up and bringing that right into the middle of our eyelid. There we go. Now we're gonna take that, this is just an Anastasia brush from their palette, but that same original fluffy blending brush, and just take and make sure those edges are nice and soft. So as you can see the orange there, but it's not like, oh wow, you're wearing orange eyeshadow. But again, orange is one of the more wearable colors. And we are gonna get into some crazier colors. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take my ColourPop E10, which is just a small little pencil brush, and I'm going to go into this shade right here, which is E2, which is more of a little bit reddish of a brown. And we are going to take and deepen up that outer V, but really keeping it tight, as you can see, right into that crease. So we're deepening it, but we're not dragging that color everywhere, because we want this to be more of a wearable daytime look. So we don't want a lot of dark, heavy shadow. So again, almost connecting it like you would a little bit of a wing, and then slightly bringing it up. And that really helps give your eyes some definition. Because as you can see, as I'm layering this up, it really is adding a little bit more warmth, but it is also helping tone down the orange so it's not so crazy. And now I'm going to take the original, or not the original, the one that I used for the orange, the M506, and just lightly go over the edge where I placed that brown, just to make sure we can still see the orange. But as you can see, I'm mainly keeping that orange shade right out on the outer edge of my eye. And again, just taking that same original Anastasia brush and going over the edges, making sure everything is nice and blended in. Now here's where we're going to get a little bit crazier, but it's really not going to be super crazy. I'm going to go into this shade D5. This is an e.l.f. concealer brush. So it's like almost like an orange with some pink, a lot of shift to it. And that's what we're going to use as our eyelid color. So I'm spraying it with some MAC Fix Plus. And we're just going to take and apply that all over the lid. And as you can see, that color, even though in the pan it has a lot more orange and pink to it, it is definitely pulling more gold. And I really do like these Anastasia pressed pigment palettes, but do you need them all? No, not really. Typically, once you kind of find, like, I like ColourPop palettes and monochrome palettes to find what colors work well for you, because those are 12 bucks each and you can always find them on sale. These are $60 each and you cannot always find these on sale. So we're just going to keep dragging that over. Just like that. And whenever you use this wet brush method, it almost gives your eyes a cut crease without having that harshness. And I'm going to take my same blending brush, and I always go back over just to make sure my shimmer doesn't get too high, because I've got shaky hands from fibromyalgia. And I am not an eyeshadow expert by any means. I love playing with it. I love wearing color. But I know a lot of people are nervous about it, so that's what I was like, well, why don't we do a series? I haven't ever seen it, and if you have, please let me know. An introduction into wearable color. Okay, so I've got that laid down, and I think I want to add just a tiny bit more orange. So I'm going to go into this shade right here, D4, which is a little bit deeper orange shimmer, which actually comes out quite a bit brighter, which is sometimes how it goes. And we're going to layer that ever so slightly in between our colors. So it's in between the brown and the gold. Again, I'm going to take my same fluffy brush. There we go, and go over the edges. So that is what the top eye line looks like. Now, if you'll give me a moment, I'll go put on the rest of my face, and then I'll show you how we're going to finish it out with the bottom lashes. So as you can see, I'm back with the rest of my face on. So the first thing I want to do is my bottom lash line, and I'm going to use my Marc Jacobs Cocoa, which is just a brown, they're a gel eyeliner. because I don't want to use a harsh black line under my eyes. So we're just gonna go into that brown and do our waterline. Some people do this after shadow. I tend to do it before. So now what we're going to go ahead and go into is we're gonna go a little bit into this shade A5, that original pumpkin orange shade that we used. And I'm using this on a very teeny Morphe 508 brush. And what I'm doing is just doing that ever so slightly. Just the smallest little amount right underneath my lash line on that outer edge. And blending it in. Now dragging it in just a little bit to bring it into right about halfway. And if my brows are not great today, I'm sorry, it is what it is. And I'm going to take my Morphe M506, and I'm not putting any product on it, but I am just slightly using that to blend out that orange shade, that A5 shade. So as you can see, that's about what it looks like. And I tend not to go super heavy under my eyes. Some people do. Now what I'm doing is the same Morphe M508. We're gonna take this color right here, which is D2, which is still in, or let's see where you can see it right there. So this shade right here, which is D2, which is still an orangey shimmer, but it's not super orange, and that's what we're going to use to highlight our inner corner. There we go. So that almost has that tangerine dream look. And again, this eye look you could easily recreate with the Orange Glad palette. You can do this with a lot of different palettes. You do not have to have the Anastasia Norvina Volume 3. So now I'm gonna use some of my MAC Fix Plus. Give myself a good little spritz. Dry my face off. We're gonna go ahead and curl our eyelashes. And looking in the mirror, I can tell you my eyebrows need to be done. And I'm just using some of the Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir. This is a little sample I got sent from Sephora, so I'm trying to use it up. But the brush isn't bad, and neither is the mascara formula. It's just, if I'm going to buy a prestige brand for mascara, it's going to be Dior. The Blackout is, the Dior Show Blackout is my favorite high-end mascara of all time. Okay. Now we're going to use some lip gloss today, and I'm using the So Juicy lip gloss in the shade Feels Like Summer. And if you can tell, if this will focus, there we go. It's not focusing well because I'm shaking, but it's definitely a much warmer, almost orangey nude, which is a good way to tie the whole look together. I used a blush that has a little bit more, pulls a little bit more towards the orange side. And lip gloss is a easy way to get more of a tint of color whenever you're wanting to play with colors without it being too opaque. Some of them are opaque, but most of them are just like a wash of color. So let me scoot in so you can see. Okay, so what do you think? Let me know down below what you think of this palette. Also, let me know what you think of this series. If you want me to continue it, let me know what color you want to see next. So, I guess that's it. Don't forget to check me out on all my social media, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as my main channel, which is just Cuttin Corners Vinyl. And I guess that's it. Remember, we post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. See y'all later. Bye.